Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Okay. There we go. Now we're getting going. Welcome to the Public Safety Homeland Security Committee. We got a few bills on the agenda today. We are going to start with Chairman Yates on House Bill 266. Chairman Yates, the floor is yours, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. This it's kind of a strange situation of this, and I got this in passed about 3 or 4 years ago after the chief magistrate in Spalding County pointed out that they had a problem that their constables could carry the gun throughout the county, some of the unsavory places of town and so forth, but when they got back to the courthouse they could not put it into a public building, which meant they had to take it back to the car, which is kind of a dangerous situation. So we got that passed, and if you look at the bottom of the second page is line 59, just puts the word constable back in, basically is what it does. And for those that might be thinking about, well, we don't want guns out there or something, well, the gun's already out there. He takes it where he wants to the county. There's one thing that comes up and says he ought to be certified, and he does have a permit to carry a weapon, but the magistrates don't want him certified because once they get certified, then they get a better job at the sheriff's department. That's about all it does.
Okay, is there any questions for the author? Chairman Talton.
I think that's a good bill, Chairman, and so I'm going to support you 100%. So where I come from, most of the constables are certified anyway. Some of them, they leave me after they retire and go there and do that.
How do they get by the sheriff grabbing them or whatever?
No, they'll leave me and go there afterwards.
I know you're
at the
a man that knows because you've been in that business.
Long time. At the proper time, Mr. Chairman, I like that.
Okay, got another question, then I'll come right back to you, Chairman. Representative Maddox, I believe.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate you bringing the bill. You'd said that you already got it passed. They already tote in the county, right, when they're out.
They what?
They already tote out in the county.
Yeah, everywhere in the county except the county courthouse where his office is.
Okay.
And he has to leave his weapon in his car,
right,
which is not too safe.
Right. I think it makes sense. I appreciate you bringing it.
Thank you, sir.
Representative Taylor.
Are they, as a constable, their duties require them to have the gun, and I understand that, and they have their weapon with them. Are they licensed to carry it as
Yes.
a concealed weapon, so they already have that type of
Yes.
a license? Do they go through any specific training? Like maybe they are not a certified officer, but is there some kind of a constable training that they go through?
The particular one that does most of the work down there is a former sheriff's deputy.
Okay.
And he is certified, but as I say, we don't want it to be required. The magistrate don't want it to be required because they tend to leave pretty fast to get a better job.
All right, thank you.
Any further discussion on the bill? Not seeing any. I'm going to recognize Chairman Talton for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that this LC do pass.
House Bill 266 LC 352057. Have a motion. Do we have a second? Got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Thank you, Chairman Yates.
Thank you so much.
And just to let the committee know, House Bill 327, that was by Representative Shaw, that has been pulled off the calendar for today. So if anyone's here for that bill, it will not be heard. Chairman Parsons, there you are. I was looking for you.
Thank you, Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the committee. I appreciate you letting me come in and present House Bill 254. I want to tell you that House Bill 254 is a bill that I brought forward on behalf of citizens in my, not only in my county, but in my community. And I think some of them are here, I believe, somewhere. And that's something they've been passionate about for several years. There, for one thing, at least one or two of them are, I don't know who's back there, but I know one or two of them are mothers of young children at Mountain View School in Cobb County. And I think it was a little over a year ago, something like that, we had a child, a 5-year-old kindergarten, I think she was, who was hit and killed by a driver after she disembarked from a bus. And these ladies and others in that area have been, it's a subject they've been very concerned about. They've been very passionate about, worked very hard on, and tried to come up with ideas and figure out ways that we can do things to save our children, save their lives, and save them from getting hurt. Currently, I've got the forms here. I'll pass these out. Currently, Georgia law requires school bus drivers, when they see a traffic violation in reference to the school bus passing illegally, not stopping for the stop arm, whatever that traffic violation is relating to the children in the bus. Am I not on here? Oh, okay. Current law requires school bus drivers to fill out this form and turn that goes to the local law enforcement officials. It's as you can see, and put yourself in I think maybe we even have some former school bus drivers in here, and probably some school bus drivers out in the public here. Put yourself in their position of having to fill that form out, at the same time watching out for their driving, they're driving the school bus, and the safety of the school bus, traffic safety, and of course the safety of the children. So what this bill would do, among other things, would relieve them of that requirement. Nothing in this bill prohibits school systems from continuing to what this bill would do would have an automated process. It would take the place of this, where the traffic offenses would be caught on video. Nothing in this bill requires any school systems to use it if they didn't want to, as I recall. Yeah, that is right. It doesn't require them to use it. Doesn't require the local school system to enter into any kind of an agreement with a local government. But it gives them the opportunity to do something much more safe, much more effective, to actually catch these violators, save the children, make a much more safe environment for them, and save lives. Now there are vendors, plural, who provide a service where they will put this very expensive equipment, and it's my understanding it's very expensive equipment, on school buses that will capture on video these offenses. And with violations, those violations will be sent back to your local police authorities, who then would review and make a determination whether or not civil charges should be brought against the violator, the person's violated the law. And the bill sets up a procedure for the school system to enter into an agreement, an intergovernment agreement with their local government, so that the funds that come back to the local government can be shared with the school system to make certain improvements which are in the bill. And that's pretty much it. I mean, I can go through the bill section by section if you like. I don't know how you'd like to do it in this committee, but I'll do that, or I'll answer any questions, or whatever how you'd like to do it.
I believe you explained it well, and I would just ask the committee if there's any questions of the author. Really punch your button. Okay.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I appreciate it. I have one question in reading through. A lot of the subsections make reference to such disregard or disobedience was not otherwise authorized by law. Can you give some examples of where it would be authorized by law for them to pass the bus?
I can't. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know that there are any, but I mean, it's just, I guess they're saying if it is provided in law that it wouldn't be a violation. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if there are any. I can't think of any, but I don't know whether it have. I have no earthly idea. I couldn't tell you that. I mean, it's just something that's added by our legal counsel to cover the legal basis. I just don't know exactly. I wouldn't think there would be.
Basically, if there maybe was an emergency vehicle or some type of emergency, that may be something that be at the discretion of the judge at that point. Representative Taylor.
I believe divided highway. You don't have to stop if you're on a divided highway. The other side. That's
true.
That's one of the answers. But I do have a question about the cost. And this becomes mandatory. Is this going to be something the local school systems are required to pursue and have installed? Is this something they can choose to do?
Yeah, it's something that's totally optional. They don't have to do it.
Do we have the idea of what the costs are for these equipments? Is it similar to what's in a
Well, there would be no
police car?
cost, but that's part of the beauty of the thing. There would be no
Okay.
cost to the local government or local school system. It would, in fact, it would result in a net increase in funds for them. It should increase, be a net increase in funds for the local government and the local school system.
Okay, thank you.
Representative Frazier.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Parsons, isn't it true that I support this legislation?
I think you do.
And, Mr. Chairman, my questions have been answered by the previous representative.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Representative Maddox.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was just curious about this is being referred to, because right now, improper passing of a school bus is a violation of motor vehicle code, right? You can be given a citation by law enforcement if
Right.
they see it. Now, I notice this is going to be, and I don't know if it's just to simplify the process, but I notice that this is being deemed non-criminal or it won't be used, go against the operating record of the person that violates it, or to be used or considered for insurance
Right.
purposes.
If
So-
there is I didn't mean to cut you off. I'm
No,
sorry,
that's fine.
I apologize. But as I recall the legislation, the citation by your law enforcement officials, that takes precedence. If it does go into a criminal, then that takes precedence over anything that will be presented through this. These are things that literally what we're talking about are offenses that are going to go unreported, basically. And that's what it really comes down to. These are offenses that most likely will go unreported. But if it does turn out that your local law enforcement, as I recall how it reads in the bill, if they make a citation, then that takes precedence through the judicial system over this.
Okay. Thank you.
And just to point out, this language here mirrors the red light camera bill, and those are not criminal but civil. And I would make a suggestion to the author: we might want to ask this to be modified structure or structure coming out of the Rules Committee because of that
I
issue.
would be more than happy to.
So,
Yeah.
Representative Hannah.
Let me ask you something, and I support your idea and I support your bill, but I don't understand. It's optional for local school systems,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Yes.
But if they install one, how much does it cost?
Well, if they can install in different ways. I mean, if this local school system were to decide, which I don't think they would do, but if they would decide they actually wanted to purchase the equipment and put it on, then they would bear that expense. But what this actually allows is another way of doing it. Like I say, there are vendors, not numerous necessarily, but there are plural vendors who provide a service where they will put the equipment that's very expensive and complicated, complex equipment on, and they receive funding for that. No cost to the school system, but they do get they will get some kind of partial payout from the funding that comes back to these civil fines.
Representative Taylor.
Thank you. One last question. I know there was a question about who would have jurisdiction and what kind of penalty. I just want to make sure there would be no type of double jeopardy. You couldn't
No,
have.
not at all.
Okay. Thank you.
Does that answer your question? Okay. Any other questions of the author of the bill? Hearing none, what's the pleasure of the committee? Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bill? Hearing none, those all in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you, Chairman Parson.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate it very much.
Chairman Willard, if you want to present House Bill 180.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee. I have before you a bill that was last year also brought before this committee, and the bill deals with what we call the 3-foot clearance. And the purpose of it is to recognize that there is a need for safety clearance when there is a passing of a motor vehicle or a bicycle when they're both traveling the same direction. And I think the bill, as I recall, passed through the committee last year. It was approved. It was held up in rules, and we're back this year with a new bill. I want to read to you the main portion of it, which is the section under a new section 40-6-55, which talks about a safe clearance. It says, notwithstanding any provision of this article to the contrary, when feasible. I think I want to stop and recognize and emphasize the word feasible, because it may not always be a time where it may be feasible to do it, but when feasible, the operator of a motor vehicle, when overtaking and passing a bicycle that is proceeding in the same direction on a roadway, shall leave a safe distance between such vehicle and the bicycle and shall maintain such clearance until safely past the overtaking bicycle. We have numerous incidents in our state annually where people who are on bicycles are buzzed or in fact hit by someone who's in a car. And the purpose is to set up a rule of the road, just like we do with so many other things about how and under what circumstances a vehicle is operated. They're called rules of the road, and this is another one that we'll be adding to it. I have also with me today Mrs. Kathy Serrano. As you know, we called the bill, the act to be the Tony Serrano 3-foot Safe Passing Act. I would like to introduce Ms. Serrano to the committee. Ms. Serrano, if you would come around with me, please. Her husband was traveling on a road in Gwinnett County, a 4-lane highway divided over as far as he could to the right, and was hit by a vehicle. There was 2 of them riding together, single file. He was in behind, and I'd like to have Ms. Serrano, if I may, Mr. Chairman, address the committee. That's permitted.
That'd be fine.
Ms. Serrano.
I would like to thank the committee for their attention to this very important act, HB 180, the Tony Serrano 3 Feet Safe Passing Act. I would also like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak about one of my favorite topics, Tony Serrano. Tony was the kind of person who loved life and squeezed everything he could from each day for himself and those around him, whether it be loved ones or strangers. His favorite saying was "Doro vaya," which means go hard. He would say this to himself or anyone around him with a huge smile on his face and a thumbs up sign. It was very contagious and would bring a smile to your face even if he was about to drop you in a race. He had a long history of being an accomplished athlete, from racing motorcycles and cars, mountain biking, trail running, and triathlons. On August 25th, 2004, Tony caught an early flight home from a conference because he wanted to say goodnight to his girls. Issa was 3, and Zoe had just turned 1 2 weeks earlier. I will forever be grateful for that evening because early the next morning, Tony was killed while on one of his last bike training rides for his Ironman race in Wisconsin. He was riding with one of his friends, and they were struck from behind by a car. If that car had given him 3 feet, Tony would have come home that day and chased his girls until they gave him hugs and kisses. He could still work with his father and brother at their family business. He could still tease his mother, sister, and grandmother. I would still have my best friend, and his girls would know him instead of all the stories and memories they have to be told to get a sense of their dad. Within a few months of his death, his friends organized the inaugural Tony Serrano Memorial Ride, which has turned into a successful annual event. The proceeds from the ride are used to promote bicycle safety in community organizations where the ride takes place. In my mind, the main purpose of the ride is to squeeze as much good as possible out of an awful event, which is what Tony would have wanted. With your help in passing HB 180, this can happen. When HB 180 is passed, motorists can be educated on what to do when approaching a cyclist. This will help prevent accidents, especially fatalities. It will also give law enforcement guidelines to help ensure cyclist safety. Cyclists are not on the roads to slow people down or annoy them. I know it may sometimes feel like this when you are late to a meeting, your tea time, or getting home to your family. Cyclists are passionate about what they are doing. Otherwise, they would not be taking a risk like that on Georgia roads. The next time you're approaching a cyclist on the road, please take the extra few minutes out of your day so that cyclist can make it home to their Issa and Zoe. Thank you very much.
Ms. Rona, I'd like to say thank you for taking the time to come out today, and I speak for the whole committee when I say that we're very sorry for the loss. Thank you.
And thank you, Chairman, for comments. We have now 16 states that have already passed a similar type statute. We have 12 that are considering it, including Georgia. I think it can be recognized by all of us that this is a major tourist attraction to Georgia because of the types of terrain we have in Georgia. A lot of people come here. In fact, there are events put on annually at several areas of Georgia dealing with bicyclists and races. We feel that it's time has come, Mr. Chairman and members of the committee, for us to recognize the safety requirements for those who are on bicycles. It's a major sport, certainly up in my area, in North Fulton, and I think all your counties probably have major groups that enjoy bicycling. So this would be, just to say, another important safety measure. I'd be glad to answer any questions, Mr. Chairman.
Representative Horn. Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for bringing this bill. I understand what you're trying to do. I think it's a good idea. But let me ask one thing. How is, if a police officer is trailing someone passing a bicycle, how are they going to ascertain 3 feet, number one? And number two is, how would somebody defend themselves in court if it came to that? 3 feet is that's a pretty hard number. How are you going to ascertain that?
It's a yard, and most of us, I think, can gauge the distance of a yard. The main thing is, did the car in passing do so in such a close proximity to the bicycle that it caused a danger to the rider, that what we call the buzzing part of it? I don't think so as we stopped and say, well, we thought you were only 34 inches opposed to a full yard. But, yeah. And I say it's also, as we use the term in here, as to the distance requirement that when appropriate. That is when feasible, meaning that is to say if there's a car coming and you're trying, just like you have passing lanes. If you know a car's coming, you're not going to pass another car until you've got a safe distance where you can go around it. Thank you, sir.
Representative Hawker.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Willard, I very much appreciate you bringing this bill forward, and I also want to commend the Serrano family for being here today. I have a lot of first-hand knowledge about this issue. I'm a triathlete. I've done an Ironman, and every time I get on my bike, I'm terrified. And that's whether I'm in Atlanta, whether I'm in rural areas. I've ridden Tattnall County down Reedsville, and it is a very dangerous issue. And for the state, in terms of our public policy, we certainly want to promote people to be healthy. And so we want people to be on their bicycles. We want them to be out there. And so with that, I have a question with respect to the bill, and frankly, I think we might want it to be stronger. I'm a little troubled by the when feasible language in terms of it giving a lot of or not being strong enough to just set the 3-foot limit. Why do we have that caveat of when feasible, and would it be better to strike that and have a fixed distance of 3 feet?
I'm open to that. We tried last year as a matter of working with language that would be acceptable to the committee. We had desire to put something that would say not every chance, every opportunity you'd be able to get the full 3-foot clearance. But I think you're right. There needs to be, if you can't give a 3-foot clearance, you need to wait until you can.
And Mr. Chairman, just to bring it up, I don't know if it addressed Representative Hawkins' concern, but I know in the move over law in Georgia, the term reasonably safe is there, but I think it still may have the same question that you're bringing up now. Any other questions for the author? Representative Maddox.
Thank you. I just wanted to speak to the when feasible. I kind of like that language. I don't want to, I mean, I think it clears up possibly some ambiguous situations as to when there may be like a low speed scenario when you're easing through an intersection or something at a very low speed, and it may be very safe and very appropriate to pass closer to 3 feet if you're both traveling at a low speed. I mean, I don't know if that could create problems if the language was out there. There's going to have to be judgment calls, as Representative Horn had alluded to, which is not uncommon with respect to law enforcement and other charges and citations that they issue. But I mean, I kind of like the language of the bill. I mean, I appreciate you bringing it, and I think it will clear up, this safety issue concern. Thank you.
As an added comment, Mr. Chairman, the thing we're trying to do is start an education process that is, as Ms. Serrano mentioned, educate the people that there is a need to be sure you got appropriate distance and clearance when passing bicycles. That has to be done in a safe manner. Rule the road. That's what we're saying.
Representative Gasman-Mill.
I like the bill. It's okay. I just and I was speaking to the young lady earlier about it because the 3 feet was an issue with me, and more so along the lines of how easily it can be challenged in court. And that was my concern. I just wondered what your thoughts were on that.
Well, that again goes back to what we're talking about. Is I think, as Mr. Horn mentioned, the idea of saying, well, is it 34 inches or 3 feet? And I think the main thing is if a bicyclist was hit, and you know by that happening, didn't have a 3 feet, did he? So that is the real thing you're looking at is part of the rules of the road. Yes, ma'am. Contact at some point.
Any other questions? Seeing none, what's the pleasure of the committee? We got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bill? Seeing none, those in favor say aye. Opposed? Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman J. Neal. Chairman, I'll leave it up to you. If you want to present from your chair, you can, or if you want to go up there, I'll leave it up to you. Whatever's make you most comfortable.
So it's about my comfort. I like that.
This committee believes in comfort, so
I like that.
House Bill 247.
Mr. Chairman, House Bill 247 is a bill that came through this House last year and passed with a vote of 156 to 2.
Just make sure we're all on the same page. I'm looking at a substitute. Are you working off LC 35 2174S?
2074.
2174.
2174.
Is that the one you're working off of?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. I have the exact same number you have. I was actually working off my talking points, which would have been the same regardless of which bill I had in front of me. But this bill is a similar bill that passed the House 156 to 2 last year. It allows the state office to receive national criminal background check for EMS directly from the FBI when licensing a medic. It's already done for agencies that license teachers and nurses and firefighters and daycare workers and others in the state. And currently, all the EMS applicants have to do is submit a background check, which does not include anything outside of the state of Georgia. So this will open that up so that we can have those background checks on our EMSs. It also would allow the department to run a background check on currently licensed medics one time before July the 1st, 2014, and of course the cost for a background check would be paid by the employee. This is a good bill that I think brings a lot of protection to those who are vulnerable, whether it's a child or an elderly person that's in need of an EMT, or whether it's your daughter or your wife, to know that EMT in the back of the ambulance with them has undergone a check, and that you have a relatively good reason to believe that is someone that you can entrust your loved one to. And I would ask the committee's favorable consideration for this important piece of legislation.
Okay, you do have a question. Representative Horn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative Neal, we're proposing to license emergency medical service providers here. And as a condition of that licensure, they're having to submit to fingerprinting and a background check, correct?
We are proposing that there will be a background check for those who are licensed, yes.
Well, the agencies that hire emergency medical personnel today, do they have the ability to conduct a background check on anyone that they wish to maybe hire? Do they have the ability to do that now without doing this?
This background check will not. No, they don't. Not what we're looking for. My understanding is at the point of employment, they will be required to bring a background check that will cover the state of Georgia. That is correct. Yeah, please do.
Currently, the state already licensed medics, and when part of their licensing agreement after they pass their national exams, they have to submit background checks from law before they're.
That's currently okay.
Now, what we're doing is when they submit it, oftentimes it's just a state background check. What this bill is allowing them to do is for the licensing office, the state office of EMS, to directly receive a background check from the FBI. It will be a national fingerprint background check. Currently, there are services, ambulance providers, fire services, that do run a background check on their own when they hire somebody. If they've done that, we provide an exemption in the bill stating that if they present an affidavit to the state office stating that this personnel has had a background check run on by them, we'll give them an exemption for the current license.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Wait a minute. So we do that now, but they can't accept. Did you just say they can't accept the background check?
They cannot accept a background check directly from the FBI, a national fingerprint background check, without a state law passed. That's been consistent with other agencies that have done this recently. The most recent example is for nurses. For the state board to receive a background check directly from the FBI, state law has been passed, giving them a number from the FBI's database, allowing them to directly receive those files.
Okay. Thanks.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask you to allow me to do something, please? We talked prior.
Depends what it is.
I'm going to ask you, and you let me know if this is okay. We talked prior. I had 3 bills in a committee at the same time, and the other committee is now through with every bill except mine, and I just got the page that they are ready for mine.
Representative Neal, could this be a quick question? Because she. You sure?
Okay. And I think Mr. McKay could answer any questions if anybody has them.
Okay.
Would it be okay if we do that?
That'd be fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members of the committee, I appreciate your consideration on this. And I apologize for having a crazy schedule this afternoon. Thank you all.
I think our schedule's gotten a little bit crazy the last day or so. If you can't answer one, I won't hold it against you. But,
All right. I make no promises.
Now, is this going along the lines trying to, I guess, in reference to the privacy as far as persons collecting the criminal background information? Is this kind of releasing? Is this bill kind of releasing that information to you all in a sense?
The information is only going to go directly from the FBI to the state office. There's nothing requiring them or allowing them to release that information even to a service right now. Like if an ambulance provider wanted to get the information from the state office, they can't even do that. The main impetus of the bill is so that the state office can directly receive these background checks from the FBI, because there's issues if somebody presents the background check with their application, it could be from an internet source. It could have been tampered with. They've been unsure of that, and so this will just kind of cut out that middle process by letting them directly receive it.
And another follow-up.
Go ahead.
This doesn't change the type of code they're running to get it. Like there's an employee code they have to run to get certain types of background checks. This has nothing to do with that. Okay.
Yeah. Any other questions? I got an apology to make. I was about to say we got 3 people signed up to speak on this bill. That was on House Bill 254, which already passed this committee. So to Grant Report, Rick Grisham, and Sherry Lewis, if you're still here, I apologize. That was my fault. I looked at the wrong bill number. Hopefully they were for the bill. So anyway, not seeing any questions up here. What's the pleasure of the committee on this bill? Got a motion. Do we have a second? Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the bill? All those in favor say yes. Opposed?
Thank you very much.
The surrogate for Chairman Neal, let them know that the bill passed. So
Definitely will. Thank you very much.
I lost my mind. But that concludes the Public Safety Homeland Security meeting. But for the members, I need you all look in your folder for this piece of paper. There's some important information there at the bottom of it. That's for you too, Legislative Council.